3 in the morning, and I'm lying under our kitchen sink with a wrench in my hand, listening to my wife's phone buzz like an angry wasp on the counter above me. The pipe joint's been dripping for weeks, and Vanessa keeps reminding me about it, with that special tone she reserves for my inadequacies. Jake, the drip is getting worse. Jake, we need to call a plumber. Jake, can't you fix anything? Well, here I am, fixing it. The phone buzzes again, then again. Vanessa, I call out, my voice echoing in the cabinet. Your phone. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Nothing. She's asleep upstairs, probably dreaming about her next promotion at TechFlow Solutions, where she's the HR director and apparently the queen of the universe. The buzzing continues, insistent, urgent. I slide out from under the sink, wiping my hands on an old towel. The phone screen lights up with each notification, and I can see the message preview without even trying. The sender's name makes my stomach drop. David L. David Lang. Her boss. The VP who drives the silver Porsche and wears suits that cost more than my monthly salary. I shouldn't look. I know I shouldn't look. But the messages keep coming, and the previews are right there on the lock screen. Can't wait to taste you again. Tomorrow night, my place. Wear the red thing. Tell your husband you're working late. My hands start shaking. Not from anger yet. That comes later. Right now, it's just shock, like touching a live wire. I've been married to Vanessa for 8 years. We met in college, got married right after graduation. She was ambitious then, driven, and I admired that. I still do, I guess. But somewhere along the way, ambition became ruthlessness, and drive became contempt for anyone who wasn't climbing the same ladder she was, including me. I pick up her phone. The lock screen shows her wallpaper, a photo of us from our honeymoon in Maine. We look happy, young, stupid. I know her passcode. It's our anniversary. How's that for irony? The messages open up like a wound, months of them. Photos that make my face burn. Plans for weekend getaways. David calling her my perfect little HR slut, and Vanessa responding with heart emojis and promises that would make a sailor blush. But it's not just David. There's a group chat with her friends Marcy and Alex, both of whom I've had dinner with, both of whom have sat at my table and eaten my food while knowing exactly what was happening behind my back. Marcy, how's the old ball and chain handling your late nights? Vanessa, Jake's clueless. He actually believes I'm working on quarterly reviews. Alex, David's loaded. When are you going to dump the dead weight? Vanessa, soon. David's talking about leaving his wife. We're going to need the divorce to be clean. Alex, document everything. Make Jake look unstable. Marcy, ooh, like domestic abuse? That's worth serious alimony. Vanessa, I'm already keeping a journal. Poor violent Jake and his drinking problem. I don't have a drinking problem. I have a beer after work sometimes, maybe 2 on weekends. But I can see how that could be twisted, especially by someone who knows exactly which buttons to push. I screenshot everything, every message, every photo, every casual discussion of how they're going to destroy my life. My phone's camera works overtime, capturing evidence of my wife's betrayal and my friend's complicity. When I'm done, I put her phone back exactly where it was and return to the sink. The pipe joint tightens with a satisfying click and the dripping stops. One problem solved. But I've got bigger problems now. I sit on the kitchen floor, back against the cabinet, and think. Vanessa's upstairs, probably having dreams about David's money and her freedom. David's at his mansion on Elm Street, the one with the circular driveway and the 3-car garage. Marcy's in her condo, and Alex is in her trendy downtown loft. They all think I'm nothing. A blue-collar guy who got lucky, married up, and now serves as dead weight while his wife reaches for the stars. They think I'm stupid, clueless, and harmless. They're about to learn how wrong they are. I'm Jake Morrison, 38 years old, civil engineer for the county. I design bridges and water systems and roads that last for decades. I solve problems that matter, problems that affect real people's lives. I'm not some corporate climber playing office politics, but that doesn't make me weak. It makes me methodical. I stand up, rinse my hands in the now silent sink, and head upstairs. Vanessa's sprawled across our bed, taking up more than her half, one arm flung over the pillow where I usually sleep. She looks peaceful, innocent even. I grab my pillow and a blanket and head back downstairs to the couch. I need to think, and I can't do that lying next to her, pretending everything's normal. Tomorrow, Vanessa will wake up and go to work, where she'll flirt with David and plan their next rendezvous. She'll text Marcy and Alex about her evening plans. She'll come home and kiss my cheek and ask about my day, all while plotting my destruction. But tomorrow is also when I start fighting back. I close my eyes, but sleep doesn't come. Instead, I plan. I think about David's weakness, about Vanessa's ambition, about Marcy and Alex's loyalty to whoever benefits them most. I think about leverage and timing and consequences. By morning, I have the skeleton of a plan. By next week, I'll have the whole thing mapped out. And by the end of the month, they'll all understand that Jake Morrison isn't dead weight. He's a goddamn engineer. The Riverside Fitness Center smells like sweat and ambition, which makes it perfect for what I need. It's also where Vanessa and her crew work out, which makes it even more perfect. I'm on day 3 of my new routine. Up at 5, gym by 6, showered, and at work by 8:30. Vanessa thinks it's a midlife crisis. Trying to recapture your youth? She asked this morning, not looking up from her phone. Probably texting David about their lunch plans. Just trying to stay healthy, I said, pouring coffee into my travel mug. You know, for the long haul. She actually laughed at that. The long haul. If only she knew. The gym is busier than I expected for 7 a.m., but I recognize the type. Professionals getting their workout in before the corporate grind begins. Lawyers, doctors, executives. The kind of people Vanessa desperately wants to be. I'm on the treadmill when I spot Tommy Reeves behind the front desk. We went to high school together, played football until he blew out his knee senior year. Now he works security at the country club nights and manages the gym during the day. Jake Morrison, he says when I walk over, grinning like we're still 17. Heard you joined up. About time you did something about that dad bod. Thanks for the encouragement, I say, but I'm smiling too. Tommy's one of those guys who never changed, never left town, never wanted to. He's happy with his life, which makes him dangerous to people like Vanessa who think happiness is something you achieve through status. You know, Tommy says, lowering his voice, your wife and her friends come in here regular, usually around noon. Yeah? Yeah, and they talk. A lot. About everything. He gives me a meaningful look. Walls have ears in a place like this, you know? I know exactly what he means. The gym is full of mirrors and open spaces. Conversations carry, especially when people think they're surrounded by friends. I might start doing lunch workouts, I say. Change up the routine. Good idea. Mix things up. Keep life interesting. That afternoon, I'm back at noon, timing my arrival just as Vanessa's BMW pulls into the parking lot. She's with Marcy, a blonde real estate agent who talks too much and thinks too little. They're laughing about something as they walk in, heads together like conspirators, which I suppose they are. I position myself at the free weights, close enough to hear but far enough away to seem uninvolved. They head straight for the elliptical machines, and within minutes, they're deep in conversation. So David's wife is getting suspicious, Vanessa says, adjusting her resistance. She asked him about the late nights. What did he tell her? Marcy asks. Same thing I tell Jake. Big project, lots of overtime. She bought it, but barely. Maybe you should cool it for a while. Are you kidding? Vanessa's voice drops, but not enough. David's about to get promoted to senior VP. That's a $300,000 salary plus bonuses. I'm not cooling anything. What about Jake? What about him? He fixes roads and comes home tired. He's not exactly competition for David Lang. They laugh, and I feel my jaw clench. I force myself to keep lifting, keep breathing, keep listening. Alex arrives 20 minutes later, fresh from her marketing job downtown. She's the worst of the three, sharp-tongued and cruel, the kind of woman who finds other people's pain entertaining. "Ladies," she says, claiming the elliptical next to them. "What's the gossip?" "Vanessa's worried about David's wife," Marcy says. "Please, that woman's been checked out of her marriage for years. She's too busy with her charity work to notice what her husband's doing." "It's not her I'm worried about," Vanessa says. "It's Emily." Emily, David's daughter. I've seen her around town, 22, just graduated from college, smart and pretty in a way that doesn't need makeup or designer clothes. The kind of girl who sees through bullshit. "What about her?" Alex asks. She's been asking questions about why her dad's working so much, why he's always stressed. She's not stupid. So what? She's a kid. She's a kid who could blow up everything if she gets curious enough. I finish my set and move to the next station, staying within earshot. This is better than I hoped. Not only are they giving me their entire playbook, they're identifying their vulnerabilities. "You know what you need?" Alex says. "A distraction. Something to keep Jake busy while you and David figure out your exit strategy." "Like what?" "I don't know. Get him involved in some hobby. Or better yet, set him up with someone. Then you can claim he's the cheater." "Alex, you're brilliant," Marcy says. "Jake has an affair, Vanessa gets everything in the divorce, and she's free to marry David." "Except Jake's not the type," Vanessa says, and I can hear the frustration in her voice. "He's annoyingly loyal. Probably hasn't even looked at another woman since we got married." "Every man has a price," Alex says. "Find his weakness." I rack the weights and head for the locker room, having heard enough for one day. But as I'm leaving, I catch one more exchange. "You know what the problem is?" Vanessa says. "Jake's too comfortable. He thinks our marriage is solid, thinks I'm happy. He has no idea what's coming." "Ignorance is bliss," Marcy says. "Not for long," Vanessa replies. In the parking lot, I sit in my truck for 10 minutes, processing what I've learned. They're not just planning to divorce me. They're planning to destroy me, frame me for cheating, paint me as unstable, take everything I've worked for. The old Jake might have confronted Vanessa directly, might have demanded explanations and apologies, might have tried to save a marriage that was already dead. But the old Jake didn't know he was married to a sociopath. I pull out my phone and call Sandra, my sister. She's a paralegal in Boston, sharp as a razor and twice as cutting when she needs to be. "Jake, what's wrong? You never call during the day." "I need a lawyer," I say. "A good one, divorce and family law." There's a pause. "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. What happened?" "I'll explain later. Right now I just need names." "Are you sure? I mean, maybe you and Vanessa can work things out." "Sandra, I need a lawyer. Today." She hears something in my voice that stops the questions. "Okay, I'll send you 3 names, the best in your area. But Jake?" "Yeah? Be careful. Divorce brings out the worst in people." If only she knew. That evening, Vanessa comes home late, claiming she had dinner with clients. She's showered recently. I can smell the hotel soap she doesn't realize I recognize. Her hair's different too, styled in a way that suggests hands have been running through it. "How was your day?" she asks, kissing my cheek like a dutiful wife. "Good," I say. "Productive. I'm learning a lot." "That's nice, honey." She has no idea how much I'm learning, or how much it's going to cost her. The law office of Patricia Chen is nothing like the sterile corporate environments I'm used to. Books line every wall, papers cover every surface, and the woman behind the desk looks like she could argue with God and win. "Mr. Morrison, she says, gesturing to a chair across from her desk. Sandra Morrison spoke very highly of you. She also said this was urgent. It is. I hand her a folder containing printouts of every message, every photo, every piece of evidence I've gathered. My wife is having an affair with her boss. They're planning to frame me for domestic abuse and infidelity to maximize her divorce settlement. Patricia opens the folder and starts reading. Her expression doesn't change, but I see her eyebrows raise slightly at some of the more explicit messages. This is quite comprehensive, she says after several minutes. How long have you been collecting this? 2 weeks. And your wife has no idea? None. Patricia leans back in her chair, studying me. What do you want, Mr. Morrison? A quick divorce? Revenge? Justice? I want to protect myself, and I want them to face consequences for what they've done. Them? My wife? Her boss? And the friends who've been helping plan my destruction? Patricia nods slowly. I can help with the divorce. The evidence you have is solid. Adultery, conspiracy to commit fraud, potential criminal conspiracy. But revenge? That's not something I can officially advise. Unofficially? She smiles, and it's not a pleasant expression. Unofficially, your wife and her conspirators have made several tactical errors. They've documented their plans extensively. They've involved third parties who could be compelled to testify, and they've underestimated their target. Meaning? Meaning you have options, legal options, financial options, and social options. The question is how far you're willing to go. As far as necessary. Good. Then let's talk strategy. We spend the next hour mapping out my legal protection. Patricia will file preliminary paperwork, documenting the evidence and establishing a timeline. She'll also have a private investigator follow David and Vanessa, building an even stronger case. What about the criminal conspiracy? I ask. Planning to file false domestic abuse charges is a felony. If we can prove intent, which these messages certainly suggest, we can have them arrested. How long? Give me 2 weeks to build the case properly. We want this airtight. I leave Patricia's office feeling better than I have in weeks. For the first time since this started, I'm not just reacting, I'm planning. But legal protection is only part of what I need. The other part requires a more personal touch. That evening, I'm in my basement workshop when Vanessa calls down the stairs. Jake, can you come up here? We need to talk. I find her in the living room, sitting on the edge of the couch with her hands folded. She looks nervous, which is unusual for Vanessa. She's normally unshakable. What's up? I ask, settling into my recliner. I've been thinking about us, about our marriage. Here it comes. The setup Alex suggested. Get Jake thinking about problems in the marriage, plant seeds of doubt, make him vulnerable to outside influence. What about it? We've been distant lately, like we're roommates instead of husband and wife. I hadn't noticed. That's part of the problem, Jake. You don't notice things anymore. When's the last time we went out together? Just the two of us? I don't know. A few weeks ago? Try 3 months. And when's the last time we really talked? About our dreams, our future? I study her face, looking for tells. The slight tightness around her eyes that means she's lying. The way she touches her wedding ring when she's nervous. The fake smile that doesn't reach her eyes. All there. You're right, I say. We should work on that. I'm glad you agree. I was thinking we could start with counseling. Marriage counseling. Another piece of the puzzle. Get Jake on record as having marital problems. Document his inability to communicate, his emotional distance, his failure as a husband. That's a good idea, I say. Do you have someone in mind? Actually, yes. Dr. Rebecca Walsh. She comes highly recommended. I'll bet she does. Probably recommended by David, who's done his research on divorce-friendly therapists. Sounds perfect. Vanessa brightens, probably surprised by how easy this was. Great. I'll call her tomorrow and set up an appointment. Looking forward to it. After she goes upstairs, I research Dr. Rebecca Walsh. Sure enough, she's got a reputation for helping women in difficult marriages. Her client testimonials are full of phrases like, "found my strength," and "realized I deserved better." I call Patricia Chen. "They're moving faster than we thought," I tell her. "Marriage counseling with a therapist who specializes in helping women leave their husbands." "Expected," Patricia says. "They're building a narrative. Unhappy wife, distant husband, marriage that can't be saved." How do I handle the sessions? Carefully. Don't give them anything they can use. Be cooperative but not overly eager. Express concern about the marriage but don't admit to specific failings. What about recording? Illinois is a two-party consent state. You can't record without her permission. But I can take notes. Absolutely. Document everything. The first counseling session is scheduled for the following Tuesday. That gives me 4 days to prepare, 4 days to get ready for the performance of my life. Because that's what this is, a performance. Vanessa's playing the concerned wife, David's playing the supportive boss, and Marcy and Alex are playing the loyal friends. But I'm not playing anything. I'm the director of this whole production, and they don't even know it. Tuesday comes faster than I expect. Dr. Walsh's office is in a converted Victorian house downtown, all warm colors and soft lighting designed to make people feel safe enough to share their secrets. Dr. Walsh herself is exactly what I expected. Mid-50s, kind eyes, the sort of person who makes a living listening to other people's problems. She's probably helped a lot of people over the years. She's not going to help Vanessa. "Why don't we start by having each of you share what brought you here today?" Dr. Walsh says, settling into her chair with a notepad. Vanessa goes first, of course. She talks about feeling disconnected, about how our conversations have become superficial, about how she feels like we're drifting apart. All true, actually. We have been drifting apart, mostly because she's been swimming toward someone else. "Jake?" Dr. Walsh prompts. "What's your perspective?" "I think Vanessa's right," I say. "We used to talk more, do more things together. Somewhere along the way, we got caught up in work and responsibilities and forgot to prioritize our relationship." "When did you first notice this distance?" I pretend to think. "Maybe 6 months ago?" Vanessa started working later, taking on more responsibility at her job. I was proud of her, but I missed spending time together. Vanessa shifts uncomfortably. 6 months ago is when her affair with David started. "Vanessa, how do you feel about Jake's observation?" I think he's right about the timeline. My job has become more demanding, but I feel like Jake could have made more effort too. He could have planned dates, suggested activities, shown more interest in my work. Jake? She's absolutely right. I should have been more proactive. I guess I assumed she'd tell me if she needed more attention. "And did you, Vanessa? Did you tell Jake what you needed?" I tried, but he seemed so focused on his own work, his own routine. I felt like I was competing with his job for his attention. This is rich, coming from someone who's been screwing her boss for half a year. The session continues like this for 45 minutes. Vanessa paints herself as the neglected wife, I play the oblivious husband, and Dr. Walsh takes notes that will probably be subpoenaed during divorce proceedings. But I'm taking notes too, mental ones. Every lie Vanessa tells, every manipulation she attempts, every piece of the narrative she's building. "I'd like to give you both some homework," Dr. Walsh says as we wrap up. "I want you to schedule 1 hour each week for uninterrupted conversation. No phones, no TV, just talking. Can you commit to that?" "Absolutely," Vanessa says. "Of course," I agree. In the parking lot, Vanessa seems pleased with how things went. "I think she's good," she says. I felt heard. "Me too. This was a good idea. Maybe we can grab dinner, continue the conversation?" "I'd like that, but I promised Tommy I'd help him move some equipment at the gym tonight." It's not true, but I need space to process what just happened. Also, I want Vanessa to think I'm developing outside friendships, becoming less dependent on her. Rain check then? Definitely. That night, I call Patricia Chen again. How did it go? Exactly as expected. She's building a case for emotional neglect and abandonment. Good thing we're building a case for adultery and fraud. How's the investigation going? Very well. David Lang is not as careful as he thinks. We have photos of him entering your wife's hotel room, receipts for romantic dinners, credit card records for jewelry that didn't come home to you. What's the timeline? 1 more week, then we move. 1 more week of pretending. 1 more week of marriage counseling and fake conversations and watching my wife plan my destruction. But after that, Vanessa and David and their whole crew are going to learn what happens when you underestimate a civil engineer. We build things to last, including revenge. The Riverside Country Club sits on 50 acres of manicured perfection, the kind of place where membership costs more than most people make in a year. I've never been inside, never wanted to be inside, but tonight I'm walking through the front doors like I belong here. Because tonight, I'm Tommy's guest. You sure about this? Tommy asks as we approach the reception desk. He's wearing his security uniform, looking uncomfortable about bringing me into his workplace after hours. I'm sure. I just need to see the layout, understand how things work. Jake, whatever you're planning. I'm not planning anything illegal, Tommy, I promise. He studies my face, then nods. Okay, but we keep this quiet. The club is everything I expected. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, oil paintings of dead rich people. It smells like money and privilege, and the kind of entitlement that lets people like David Lang think they can take whatever they want. Member events are usually in the main ballroom, Tommy explains, leading me through the corridors. Private dining rooms are upstairs. The bar stays open until midnight most nights. What about security cameras? Everywhere, but they're mostly focused on entrances and exits, not the interior spaces. And you have access to everything? Pretty much. Part of the job. We walk through the bar area, and I can picture it filled with Vanessa's crowd. David holding court with his expensive scotch, Vanessa laughing at his jokes, Marcy and Alex orbiting around them like satellites. There's a charity auction next Friday, Tommy says. Big event. All the local VIPs will be there. Including David Lang? Oh yeah, he's on the board. Always makes a big show of his donations. Perfect. Think you could get me invited? Tommy stops walking. Jake, what are you really doing here? I look at my oldest friend, this guy who's never hurt anyone, who works 2 jobs to make ends meet, who still lives in the same neighborhood where we grew up. He deserves the truth. Vanessa's having an affair with David Lang. They're planning to frame me for domestic abuse and take everything I have in the divorce. Tommy's face goes through several expressions before settling on anger. That witch. Yeah. And you want to confront them at the auction? Something like that. Tommy thinks for a moment, then grins. I can get you a ticket. But Jake? Yeah? Make it count. The next morning, I'm back in Dr. Walsh's office for our second counseling session. Vanessa's already there, looking perfectly put together in a way that probably took an hour to achieve. How did your homework go? Dr. Walsh asks. Were you able to have your weekly conversation? We tried, Vanessa says, but Jake had to help a friend, so we didn't get the full hour. I see. Jake, how do you prioritize your time between your marriage and other commitments? Here we go. The setup question designed to make me look selfish and inconsiderate. I try to balance everything, I say. But you're right. I should have prioritized our conversation over helping Tommy. Tommy? A friend from high school. He needed help moving some equipment. And this couldn't wait? Probably not. But in hindsight, yes, it could have waited. Dr. Walsh makes a note. Probably something about Jake's inability to prioritize his marriage. Vanessa, how did you feel when Jake chose to help his friend instead of talking with you? Disappointed, but not surprised. It's a pattern with Jake. Other people's needs always seem more urgent than mine. I want to laugh. Other people's needs? Like David Lang's need to screw my wife? Can you give me another example of this pattern? Last month, Jake spent 3 weekends working on his neighbor's deck instead of finishing projects around our own house. Jake? Mrs. Hendricks is 80 years old and lives alone. Her deck was rotting and she couldn't afford to hire someone. I thought it was the right thing to do. But your own house projects went unfinished? Some of them, yes. More notes. Jake helps everyone except his wife. Jake neglects his own home. Jake has misplaced priorities. The session continues in this vein for another 30 minutes. Every question is designed to highlight my failings as a husband. Every answer gets twisted into evidence of our incompatibility. But I play along, because I need Vanessa to feel confident. I need her to believe her plan is working. I'd like to try a different exercise next week, Dr. Walsh says as we wrap up. I want each of you to write a letter to the other expressing your feelings about the marriage. Don't share them beforehand. We'll read them together during our session. That sounds helpful, Vanessa says. I think so too, I agree. In the parking lot, Vanessa seems energized. I feel like we're making progress, she says. Me too. Dr. Walsh really knows how to get to the heart of things. Maybe we could try that dinner again tonight? I'd love to, but I'm having drinks with some guys from work. Team building thing. Another lie, but I can see it working. Jake's pulling away, choosing other people over his wife, proving that he's not invested in saving the marriage. Of course, Vanessa says, but I can hear the satisfaction in her voice. Maybe this weekend? Definitely. That evening, I'm actually at Murphy's Tavern, a blue-collar bar where nobody wears suits and the beer comes in bottles, not glasses. I'm not meeting coworkers. I'm meeting with Patricia Chen, who looks hilariously out of place in her designer suit. Interesting choice of venue, she says, sliding into the booth across from me. Less chance of running into Vanessa's crowd. Smart. How are the counseling sessions going? Exactly as expected. I'm being painted as a neglectful husband who prioritizes everyone except his wife. Good. Let her build that narrative. When we present evidence of her affair, the contrast will be devastating. What's the status of the investigation? Patricia opens her briefcase and pulls out a folder. David Lang is remarkably predictable. Same hotel every Tuesday and Thursday, same room, same time. Your wife arrives 30 minutes after he does, leaves an hour before him. She shows me photos that make my stomach turn. David entering the Riverside Inn, Vanessa following. Both of them leaving at different times, looking satisfied. There's more, Patricia continues. David's been using company funds to pay for these hotels. That's embezzlement. His wife could take him for everything in their divorce. His wife knows? Not yet, but she will. What about the letter-writing exercise? Perfect opportunity. Write something heartfelt but not desperate. Express your commitment to the marriage but acknowledge the problems. Make yourself look like the reasonable one. And Vanessa? We'll probably write something that documents all your alleged failings. We'll use it as evidence of her mindset leading up to the divorce filing. I finish my beer and look around the bar. Working people having a drink after a long day, talking about real problems, living honest lives. None of them are plotting to destroy their spouses or steal from their companies or manipulate therapists. Patricia, when this is over, how bad is it going to get for them? Bad. Vanessa will face charges for conspiracy to commit fraud. David will face embezzlement charges and a ruinous divorce. Their careers will be over, their reputations destroyed. Good. You sure about this, Jake? Once we pull the trigger, there's no going back. I think about Vanessa's fake smile, about David's smug confidence, about Marcy and Alex planning my destruction like it's a game. I'm sure. Then we move Friday night, at the charity auction. Why then? Patricia smiles, and it's not a pleasant expression. Because that's when they'll have the most to lose. Friday comes fast. I spend the morning writing my letter to Vanessa, crafting something that sounds sincere but not pathetic. I acknowledge our problems, express my love for her, and commit to working harder on our marriage. It's all true, actually. Or it would have been, if she hadn't been screwing her boss and plotting my destruction. That afternoon, I get a text from Tommy. "You're all set for tonight. Table 12. Try not to burn the place down." At 6 p.m., I put on my best suit, the one I wore to my wedding, and drive to the country club. The parking lot is full of luxury cars, BMWs, Mercedes, Porsches. My truck looks like a rust bucket by comparison, which is exactly the image I want to project. Inside, the auction is already underway. The ballroom is packed with the local elite, all dressed to impress, all competing to see who can spend the most money on charity. I spot David immediately. He's at a table near the front, wearing a tuxedo that probably costs more than my mortgage payment. Vanessa's beside him, stunning in a red dress that I've never seen before. Marcy and Alex are there too, along with several other couples I don't recognize. They look happy, confident, untouchable. That's about to change. I find table 12 in the back, where Tommy's saved me a seat. He's off duty tonight, wearing a suit that's seen better days, but still makes him look respectable. "You ready for this?" he asks. "More than ready." The auction continues for another hour. Art, jewelry, vacation packages, all selling for ridiculous amounts to people who have more money than sense. David bids on several items, winning a golf weekend in Scotland for $15,000. Vanessa applauds each of his victories, playing the role of supportive colleague perfectly. But I'm not watching the auction anymore. I'm watching the entrances, waiting for the final pieces of my plan to fall into place. At 9:30, they arrive. Patricia Chen enters through the main doors, followed by 2 uniformed police officers and a woman I don't recognize but assume is David's wife. The room goes quiet as people notice the police presence. David's face goes pale, and Vanessa's smile falters. Patricia walks directly to David's table, her heels clicking on the marble floor like a countdown timer. "David Lang," she says, her voice carrying across the silent room. "You're under arrest for embezzlement of corporate funds." The police officers move forward, and David stands on shaky legs. "There must be some mistake." "No mistake. We have documentation of company funds used for personal expenses, including hotel rooms for extramarital affairs." Every head in the room turns to look at Vanessa, who's gone white as her dress is red. "Vanessa Morrison," Patricia continues, "you're also under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud and filing false police reports." "I haven't filed any reports," Vanessa protests. "Not yet, but we have documented evidence of your plans to do so." The police officers begin reading rights as the country club elite watches in fascination. This is better entertainment than any charity auction. David's wife approaches their table, her face a mask of controlled fury. 23 years, she says to David as the handcuffs click into place. 23 years of marriage, and this is how you repay me? She turns to Vanessa. "And you? I welcomed you into my home. My daughter thinks you're wonderful. Mrs. Lang, I can explain. Don't. Just don't." As David and Vanessa are led away, Marcy and Alex sit frozen at their table, suddenly understanding that their friends' problems have become their problems. Patricia approaches table 12 looking satisfied. "How do you feel?" she asks. I watch Vanessa disappear through the ballroom doors, her perfect evening destroyed, her perfect plan in ruins. "Like justice," I say. "But this isn't the end. This is just the beginning." The story hits the local news the next morning. Local executives arrested in fraud scheme runs above photos of David and Vanessa being led away in handcuffs. The article mentions the charity auction, the embezzlement charges, and the conspiracy to commit fraud. It doesn't mention me by name, which is exactly what Patricia and I planned. I'm having coffee in my kitchen, reading the article for the 3rd time, when my phone starts ringing. The first call is from Vanessa's mother, demanding to know what's happening. The second is from my boss, asking if I need time off. The third is from Sandra, my sister, who sounds equal parts shocked and proud. Jake, what the hell did you do? I protected myself. The news says Vanessa was planning to frame you for domestic abuse. Among other things. Jesus Christ, I knew she was ambitious, but this... Yeah. Are you okay? I look around my kitchen, my house, my life that's suddenly free of lies and manipulation and betrayal. I'm better than okay. The fourth call is from Dr. Walsh's office canceling our appointment. Apparently, she doesn't think marriage counseling is appropriate when one spouse is in jail. The fifth call is from Tommy. Dude, you're famous. Everyone at the club is talking about last night. Good famous or bad famous? Are you kidding? You're a legend. Half these people have been waiting for someone to take David Lang down a peg. The other half are just impressed by the balls it took. What about Vanessa? What about her? She made her choice. By noon, the story has spread through social media. Marcy and Alex have both deactivated their Facebook accounts, but not before screenshots of their posts supporting Vanessa were shared widely. The comments are brutal. Guess they backed the wrong horse. Birds of a feather. Hope it was worth it. I'm not on social media much, but I check Vanessa's Instagram one last time. Her last post is from 3 days ago, a photo of her and David at some corporate event, both smiling like they owned the world. The comments on that post have turned vicious. At 2 p.m., Patricia calls with an update. Vanessa made bail this morning. David's still in custody. His wife froze their joint accounts so he can't post bond. What happens now? Vanessa will probably try to contact you. Don't talk to her without me present. Anything she says could be used against her in court. What about the divorce? We'll file Monday morning. With the criminal charges pending, it should be straightforward. You'll keep the house, the truck, your retirement accounts. She'll get whatever's left after legal fees. Which won't be much. Probably not. That evening, I'm grilling a steak on my back patio when I see Vanessa's BMW pull into the driveway. She sits in the car for several minutes before getting out, and when she finally approaches the back gate, she looks like she's aged 10 years in 2 days. Jake, she says, her voice hoarse. We need to talk. Patricia Chen told me not to talk to you without her present. Patricia Chen? You hired Patricia Chen? Best divorce lawyer in the state, according to my sister. Vanessa's face crumples. Jake, please. This is all a misunderstanding. The charges are bogus. David and I never... Vanessa, I have photos. I have text messages. I have recordings of you and your friends planning to frame me for domestic abuse. You were recording us? I was protecting myself. She starts crying, big dramatic sobs that might have worked on me 6 months ago. Now they just seem calculated. I made a mistake, she says. A terrible mistake. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling, work things out. We did go to counseling. You used it to build a case against me. That's not true. Vanessa, I know everything. The affair, the embezzlement, the plan to destroy me, all of it. She stops crying, and for a moment I see the real Vanessa. Not the grieving wife or the remorseful cheater, but the cold, calculating woman who thought she could ruin my life for her own benefit. You bastard, she says. You set us up. I protected myself from people who wanted to hurt me. David's career is over. His wife left him. His daughter won't speak to him. You destroyed an entire family. David destroyed his own family when he decided to screw my wife. And what about me? What about my career? What about it? TechFlow fired me this morning. I'll never work in HR again. My reputation is ruined. You should have thought about that before you decided to commit fraud. Vanessa stares at me for a long moment, and I can see her calculating, looking for an angle, a way to manipulate the situation to her advantage. The house is half mine, she says finally. Not anymore. Patricia's filing for divorce Monday morning. Adultery and fraud are grounds for forfeiture of marital assets in Illinois. You can't do this. I already did. She turns to leave, then stops. You know what the funny thing is, Jake? I actually did love you once, before you became so boring, so predictable, so satisfied with your little life. And I loved you too, before you became a sociopath. I'm not a sociopath. Vanessa, you planned to frame me for domestic violence. You were going to send me to prison to get a better divorce settlement. What would you call that? She doesn't have an answer for that. I'll fight this, she says. I'll fight the divorce, the charges, all of it. With what money? You're unemployed, facing felony charges, and your reputation is destroyed. What lawyer is going to take your case? I'll find someone. Good luck with that. She walks back to her car, and I watch her drive away. Part of me feels sorry for her, the part that remembers the woman I married, the woman who used to laugh at my jokes and dream about our future together. But that woman died somewhere along the way, replaced by someone who saw me as an obstacle to be removed, rather than a husband to be cherished. The next morning, I'm reading the Sunday paper when Tommy calls. You see the news? What news? David Lang tried to kill himself last night. Overdose of sleeping pills. He's in the ICU at Riverside General. I set down my coffee cup. Is he going to make it? They think so, but Jake, his daughter, found him. Emily, she's the one who called the ambulance. Emily, the smart, kind girl who didn't deserve any of this. How is she? How do you think? Her father's a cheater, an embezzler, and now a suicide attempt. Her mother's filing for divorce, her family's broke, and she's got reporters calling her for comments. I think about Emily, 22 years old and watching her world collapse, because her father couldn't keep his pants zipped and her mother's husband wouldn't let himself be destroyed quietly. Tommy, do you have Emily's number? Why? Because she shouldn't have to go through this alone. Jake, you sure that's a good idea? I mean, she's David's daughter. She's also an innocent victim in all this. Tommy gives me the number, and I call before I can talk myself out of it. Hello? Emily's voice is small, exhausted. Emily, this is Jake Morrison. I don't know if you remember me. I remember you. You're Vanessa's husband. Ex-husband, as of tomorrow. Right. Why are you calling? Because I heard about your father, and I wanted to see if you needed anything. There's a long pause. You want to help me? After what my father did to you? Your father's actions aren't your fault. Aren't they? I mean, I knew something was wrong. He was different, distracted, secretive. I should have said something. Emily, you're not responsible for your father's choices. You're not responsible for any of this. She starts crying, and I can hear years of pain in those tears. I don't know what to do, she says. Mom won't talk to me because I remind her of Dad. Dad's in the hospital, and I don't even know if I want him to wake up. And everyone at school knows about the scandal. Where are you now? At the hospital. I've been here all night. Have you eaten? I'm not hungry. Emily, you need to eat. You need to take care of yourself. Why do you care? Because you're a good person who got caught up in other people's bad choices. Another pause. Would you come to the hospital? I know it's weird, asking you of all people, but I don't have anyone else. I'll be right there. Riverside General's ICU is a place of beeping machines and hushed conversations, and the kind of fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look sick. Emily's in the waiting room, curled up in a plastic chair, looking smaller than her 22 years. Thank you for coming, she says when she sees me. How is he? Stable. The doctors say he'll recover, but... She shrugs. I don't know if that's good news or bad news anymore. It's good news. Whatever else your father is, he's still your father. Is it? Because right now I kind of hate him. That's normal. Is it normal to hate your father for cheating on your mother? Yes. Is it normal to hate him for ruining someone else's marriage? Yes. Is it normal to hate him for being so weak that he tried to kill himself instead of facing what he did? I sit down beside her. Emily, your father made terrible choices, but he's also sick right now, and scared, and probably ashamed of what he's done. Hate him if you need to, but don't let that hate consume you. How can you be so calm about this? He destroyed your marriage. My marriage was already destroyed. Your father and Vanessa just made it obvious. Do you hate them? I think about that question. Do I hate Vanessa for her betrayal? Do I hate David for his arrogance? Do I hate Marcy and Alex for their complicity? No, I say finally. I don't hate them. I just wanted them to face consequences for their actions. And now they have. Yes. Emily looks toward the ICU doors. What happens now? I mean, after all this? You rebuild. You figure out who you are separate from your parents' mistakes. You move forward. Is that what you're doing? That's what I'm trying to do. We sit in comfortable silence for a while, watching nurses and doctors move through the corridors, dealing with other people's crises. Jake, Emily says finally, I'm sorry. For what my father did, for what Vanessa did, for all of it. You don't need to apologize for other people's actions. Still, I'm sorry. I know you are. Will you stay? Just until the doctors give us an update? Of course. David Lang survives his suicide attempt, but his life as he knew it is over. He pleads guilty to embezzlement charges and receives 2 years in prison. His wife divorces him and takes half of what's left after legal fees and restitution. His daughter visits him once in prison, then cuts off all contact. Vanessa pleads guilty to conspiracy charges and receives 18 months probation and 500 hours of community service. She moves back in with her mother and takes a job at a call center, making $12 an hour. Marcy and Alex face no criminal charges, but their social circle collapses. Marcy's real estate business suffers as word spreads about her involvement in the scheme. Alex gets fired from her marketing job after her boss sees the social media coverage. As for me, I keep my job, my house, my truck, and my dignity. The divorce is finalized in 3 months, and I walk away with everything I brought into the marriage plus half of what we built together. But more importantly, I walk away with the knowledge that I'm stronger than I thought, smarter than they assumed, and capable of protecting myself when the people closest to me decide I'm expendable. 6 months later, I'm having dinner with Emily at a quiet restaurant downtown. She's back in school, finishing her master's degree in social work. She wants to help people who've been betrayed by the systems meant to protect them. How's your father? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know. Getting out next month. He's been writing me letters, asking for forgiveness. Are you going to forgive him? Maybe, someday, but I'm not ready yet. That's okay. Forgiveness has to happen on your timeline, not his. What about you? Have you forgiven Vanessa? I think about my ex-wife, working at her call center job, living with her mother, facing the consequences of her choices every day. I don't know if forgiveness is the right word, I say, but I'm not angry anymore. What changed? I realized that carrying anger was just giving her more power over my life. She'd already taken enough. Emily nods. I think I understand. Besides, the best revenge isn't anger, it's living well. And are you? Living well? I look around the restaurant, at the other couples having dinner, at the normal people living normal lives without drama or betrayal or schemes. Yeah, I say. I think I am. 2 years later, I run into Vanessa at the grocery store. She's thinner than I remember, wearing clothes that have seen better days, pushing a cart full of generic brands and discount items. Jake, she says, and I can hear the nervousness in her voice. Vanessa, you look good. Thanks, you too. It's a lie, but a kind one. I heard you're seeing someone, she says. I am. Her name's Sarah. She's a teacher. That's nice. I'm happy for you. Another lie, but I appreciate the effort. How are you doing? I ask. Better. I'm back in school getting certified as a paralegal. It's not HR, but it's honest work. That's good. We stand there awkwardly for a moment, two people who used to share a life, now strangers making small talk in the cereal aisle. Jake, she says finally, I know this doesn't matter now, but I'm sorry. For all of it. I know you are. Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me? I look at this woman who was my wife for 8 years, who planned my destruction, who cost me so much pain and sleepless nights and faith in other people. I already have, I say, and I realize it's true. Vanessa starts crying right there in the grocery store, and I hand her a tissue from my pocket. Thank you, she whispers. You're welcome. I hope she makes you happy. Sarah. She does. Good. You deserve to be happy. I watch her walk away, pushing her cart toward the checkout, and I feel something I haven't felt in years when I think about Vanessa Morrison. Peace. That evening, I tell Sarah about the encounter over dinner. She listens without judgment, the way she always does, and when I'm finished, she reaches across the table and takes my hand. How do you feel? She asks. Grateful, I say. For what? For everything. For surviving the worst thing that ever happened to me. For learning that I'm stronger than I thought. For finding you. And for getting justice. I think about David in prison, about Vanessa's ruined career, about Marcy and Alex's social exile. No, I say. Not for justice. Justice was just the beginning. Then what? For learning that the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's building a life so good that what they did to you becomes irrelevant. Sarah smiles. I love you, Jake Morrison. I love you too. And I do. More than I ever loved Vanessa. More than I thought I could love anyone after what happened. Because Sarah knows my whole story. The betrayal, the anger, the revenge, the forgiveness. And she loves me anyway. That night, as Sarah sleeps beside me in the bed I once shared with my ex-wife, I think about the man I was 2 years ago. Naive, trusting, willing to believe the best in people, even when they were showing me their worst. That man is gone, replaced by someone harder but wiser. Someone who understands that trust is earned and that love without respect is just manipulation. I don't miss him, because the man I am now knows how to protect himself, knows how to fight back when cornered, knows how to build something better from the ashes of what was destroyed. The man I am now knows that sometimes the underdog wins, and when he does, he wins everything.